Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am sharing swatches with you from Blush Lacquers. So this is the Blush Beauties Fall Collaboration Collection, and it's going to be releasing October 20th on the Blush site. In the description below, I will link Blush's site as well as their Instagram page, and I will also link my Instagram page where I will have more swatches of this collection. Prices will vary per polish between 8 and 12 polishes, but you can get all 8 polishes for $73. So yes, 8 polishes, and let's go ahead and get started. So our first polish is called Spiced Cocoa, and this is described as a deep chocolate brown with an orange to red to gold to green shimmer. So here's our first coat of Spiced Cocoa. This has a great formula. Everything that Blush kind of does is really nice formula-wise. It is a little bit sheer and a little bit streaky here on this first coat, so I am going to go in for a second coat. But you do get a ton of these little tiny flakies out with each stroke. So here is the second coat. For me, this covers completely in 2 coats, but it is in a little bit of a jelly formula, so you might end up needing 3. This one dries pretty glossy, but you will want a top coat either way. So there's 2 coats. Our next polish is called Fall Flame, and this is described as a tangerine base with a subtle red tone and a sparkling multi-chrome micro flake shimmer of orange to gold to green and a light touch of scattered holographic pigment. So here's our first coat of Fall Flame. Again, this one has a phenomenal formula, easy to use, easy to work with. This is more like a shimmer than a micro glitter, so it's not going to stick to your nail, it's not going to dry textured, and it's not going to be difficult to remove. It just looks like it is. So here's a second coat, and I fully intended to have to need 3 coats for this one, but it is completely opaque in just 2. This one also dries pretty glossy, but again, you will want a top coat for longevity. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have the Scenic Route, and this is described as a creamy yellow crelly with copper to gold to bronze shifting flakies. So here's our first coat of the Scenic Route. This one's a little bit on the thinner side, but it's not hard to use by any means. You do get a ton of flakies out with each brush stroke on this one as well, and you don't have to hold the bottle upside down or swirl or anything special for it. So here's a second coat, and just like Fall Flame, I fully intended to need 3 coats for this one, but it is completely opaque in 2, and I am having to do thinner coats here since it is a thinner formula. This one also dries pretty glossy, it doesn't dry textured, and it's not going to be difficult to remove. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have the Last Carnival, and this is described as an olive base with a gold shimmer, gold flakies, and holographic pigment. So here's our first coat of the Last Carnival. This is pretty sheer here on this first coat as well, but it does have a great formula. It stays right where you put it, and it's not too thick, not too thin. And just like Fall Flame, this looks like a polish that's going to be hard to remove because it looks like tiny little micro glitter in there, but it's not. So here's the second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats, and that shimmer is just absolutely beautiful against the olive base. So there's 2 coats. Up next we have Falling Up, and this is described as a faded teal with a pink to bronze shifting shimmer, small orange holographic glitter, and a touch of scattered holographic as well. So here's our first coat of Falling Up. This has a pretty good formula as well. It is very sheery on this first coat, but I am working in pretty thin coats. This purple shimmer in here comes really beautifully on the nails, but as you build this up, it really just comes alive. So here's the second coat, and this is still pretty sheer here on the second coat, so I am going to go in for a third coat. Depending on your application, if you do a little bit thicker coats like I did there on my ring finger, you may be okay with 2 coats, but I do highly recommend 3 anyway, because the darker your base color gets, the more that shimmer is going to shine. So here's the third coat, and this one does cover completely in 3 coats for me. Again, this one's not going to be difficult to remove. It's going to dry relatively smooth, though it does dry pretty dull. So there is 3 coats. Next up we have Colliding Constellations, and this is described as a dark teal blue jelly with iridescent orange glitter and gold to copper holographic glitter. So here's our first coat of Colliding Constellations. This one actually has a pretty thin formula, but it does stick to itself well, so if you use a base coat like I probably should, you might not have that issue. But it is very sheer here on this first coat, so I am going to go in for a second coat. You do get a ton of those little glitters out, but the larger glitters you do have to do just a little bit of swirling for. But you don't get any of those like traffic jams of glitter or like too much in one area. So here's the third coat, and this one does cover completely in 3 coats for me. It is going to dry slightly textured, and it is going to be just a tiny bit difficult to remove, but nothing like major. So there's 3 coats. Next up we have Floral Engagement, and this is described as a deep berry purple with a shifting red to blue to green shimmer and holographic pigment, as well as red to gold to green flakies. Here's our first coat of Floral Engagement. This one has a nice formula. It's easy to use, easy to work with, not too thick, not too thin. You get a good amount of these little flakies out as well. I am only going to show you 2 coats here, but after doing the 2 coats for my swatch video, which I do before I do my photos, I realized you definitely needed 3 coats. So I'm only showing 2 because I thought it was opaque, but in my photos I'm going to show 3. This one dries pretty smooth, but you will want a glossy top coat either way, and those flakies don't stick to your nail. So there's 2 coats. And the last one is called Frosted Foliage, and this is described as a black/gray jelly base with a strong red to orange to gold to green shifting shimmer, as well as a linear holographic effect and a red to orange to gold shifting flaky. So here's our first coat of Frosted Foliage. This one is very sheer here on this first coat, so it does need to be built up. I could see you using this as a topper, maybe over a black, but to use it over like a blue or a purple, I feel like it might apply a little bit unevenly, but I didn't try it, so I could be entirely wrong. Here's 2 coats, and if you're not super picky, you could wear this easily in 2 coats, but I am going to go in for a third because I did wear this one for a few days. So here is 3 coats, and this one is completely opaque in 2 coats, dries decently glossy, dries very holographic, and it's not difficult to remove. So there's 3 coats. So there is zero surprise here that the Scenic Route is my favorite. This is so beautiful, and I loved it as soon as I opened the package. So the Scenic Route is my favorite, but Frosted Foliage also has a super special place in my heart. It's so beautiful and just so fun and fall-y and just gorgeous. Both of these are just gorgeous. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.